There's death, there's destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live. This is why we need independent media.
Cheers and salutations. Welcome to a very special episode of Hard Lens Media. I'm the host of the show, Kit Cabello. We are live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, Odyssey, Rockman, Rumble, and Twitch. And today we have ourselves a very special guest. And again, we've been speaking to a lot of people who will be speaking at the event on February 19th, Rage Against the War Machine. We've spoken to people from the Libertarian Party, the People's Party, Jimmy Dore, Garland Nixon, and so many others who are calling out the military-industrial complex, the fact that we have money for endless wars. And joining us now is another one of the speakers. His name is Supreme. You know him from the Wu-Tang Clan. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day for joining us, sir. There's a lot. Thank you. So I think it's important to really start from a beginning, and that is, number one, why is this event that's happening on February 19th important to you, and why are you going to be speaking at this event? What do you hope to bring awareness to the American people in regards for this ridiculous, out of control military-industrial complex that is, well, consuming so many financial resources from the American people?
Correct. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose and the intention behind my involvement in this, this is a plight, right? This is a cause. This is something that really is a global issue. It's an outcry, right? Is because, number one, it affects me and it affects the globe. It affects the world. It affects humanity as a whole. Second, I'm a veteran myself, and I experienced a lot of the things that transpired. I'm not only a veteran, but I'm a victim of some of the issues and things that transact while you're how should I say, property of the United States government, or an employee, or a military personnel. So I've experienced things firsthand. Going into things, you know, people join the military for different reasons. We're sold different dreams. We're told that the military is, you know, we're fighting for freedom. We're fighting for justice, equality. We're fighting for liberation. We're fighting for the rights of not only our fellow Americans, but the rights of people around the world, right? So, you know, we're sold this dream. We're indoctrinated into this whole, you know, glorification of war and death. And legalized theft and murder and plundering of other lands and resources. But it's G.I. Joe. It's you know, it's television, it's movies, right? It's Terminators, et cetera, and they glorify it. So yeah, I was a victim to some of that glorification and indoctrination and that brainwashing, and through some circumstances and situations that transpired in my life, poverty, you know, not a lot of opportunities, resources, etc. You know, I found myself in some situations that caused me to have to join the military. So in doing so, you know, we were already kind of conscious of some of the things that transpire, but when you're actually in, then you get to see what, and you get to participate in what you're really doing. I was young, I was 17. I discharged as fast as I could. And when I got out, you know, that's when the real education began to come to, you know, to me, and things come to fruition in my mind and in my life experience. And then you start delving, you do the deep research, and then you're seeing that, yeah, you are owned by corporations. Yeah, you are, you know, seizing other lands and resources. And, you know, you start to really see who people are, what they are, what these corporations are, you know, why we're really in other countries, what we're really doing in other countries under the guise of freedom, under the guise of, you know, humanitarian issues, crises that we're freeing or liberating people, you know, even down to gender issues, right? Because it's so fine the way they detail it and articulate it and brainwash us that, you know, I felt it my right, if you understand, it's my right because I participated, and it's my obligation, it's my duty as an artist, as a celebrity, as a person with a platform, and a person with personal knowledge domestically and internationally on exactly what's transpiring. And it's my duty as a human to all other human beings on this planet to teach, to educate. And if you don't stand for something, you fall for nothing, right? So that's why I'm here, and that's my personal reason for being involved in Rage Against the War Machine.
Now, the thing is, we've had a couple other people from who will be speaking on Rage Against the War Machine. We had people who are talking about the freedom for Julian Assange. We had people from the Libertarian Party, People's Party, and these are third-party groups. These are activist organizations
Correct.
that have been smeared by corporate media.
Oh, definitely.
So what the thing is, though, corporate media, they're at least able to dictate, and unfortunately, they have been very successful in brainwashing and keeping many Americans ignorant about the issues of the fact that Julian Assange must be freed immediately, and
Correct.
the fact that we're stuck in a two-party system and we're denied the choice of voting for third parties or independent candidates. What do you say to those people who say, well, you shouldn't be associating yourselves with these organizations? Third parties allow the other party to win. You're burning away your vote. Or people are dismissive and don't care about the freedom for Julian Assange or the freedom for Edward Snowden. What do you say to those organizations and the corporate neoliberal narrative that's being pushed upon the American people, saying that you should not associate yourself with these people? You're wasting your time. Nothing's going to get done. Why are you standing in solidarity with them? And what do you want to say to those organizations and corporate media and the two-party system that say, well, you should dismiss them? You should not be associated with all the groups that are with Rage Against the War Machine.
The Julian Assanges, the Edward Snowdens, the Malcolm X's, the Bob Marleys, the Black Panthers, the Weathermen, et cetera, are the same reason why the Marcus Garveys, right? The Harriet Tubmans, we can go all the way back because this is not a new fight. Those people are the same reason why these people have the ability to freely express their disdain, their disagreement. That's what they don't understand. The fact that they can argue something and not be arrested, not be seized, not be beaten, not be in prison, not be killed, come from the same mouths, the same spirit, the same soul, the same voice of Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, etc. So it's really for people to educate themselves. The people who know already know. The people who know it's time to act. The people who don't know, we can merely educate them. But the people who don't know, like, silence is support, right? So inadvertently, they don't understand that they're supporting the same system that they're claiming is the system that's protecting them. If it's protecting them, then explain why they have no resources. Explain why they have no wealth. Explain, these people need to explain why they have no voice. Explain why they have no power. Explain why they don't even have control over the elected officials that they so-called elect, right? They don't have any rights, any freedom. They have no ability to, be involved in meetings, have information free, right? To be involved in any of the budget issues. They have no power, no say-so in anything, although they supposedly elect these people and supposed to be in control of these people. And these people are supposed to be public servants and serve the people. These people who support their oppressors, support their tyrants, right, are really the justification, and they're the proof that we are why we exist. They're the proof that we are right. Their argument proves that we're right because the truth stands on its own. The truth needs no support. The truth is the truth regardless of whom or what, okay? The fact that people want to argue shows that there's programming, there's conditioning, there's brainwashing, because where did their argument come from? It's not of their own thought, their own voice, their own volition. So their programming, their argument comes from that of, like you said, the media, the two-tier party, and those people who have an agenda, right? And that agenda is to serve themselves. They're not serving the American public. We see it in our air, we see it in our water, we see it in our food, we see it in the infrastructure, we see it in our educational systems, we see it in the prison systems, we see it in our infrastructure, we see it everywhere. These same people that are arguing have no food in their refrigerators. They have no money in their bank accounts. They're all one check away, if not two checks away from failure. One sick day called in from losing everything that they have. That is total brainwashing and conditioning. Something I always say is this: a true slave doesn't realize they're a slave. You see, something happened during slavery is when we were freed, some slaves stayed back on the plantation because they couldn't visualize themselves doing anything or having anything or being anywhere better than where they were. They were totally conditioned, right? And that is a total slave mentality. So what we're doing here is something that's necessary. We have to bring awareness to the military industrial complex. We have to bring awareness to what just transpired in Ukraine. What was it, $45 billion? $47 billion?
I think
right?
It's now an additional 45 billion, unfortunately.
Yeah, additional 45 billion. Okay, so we didn't give $45 billion to the 331 million Americans. We didn't even make each American a millionaire. We're trillions of dollars in debt. Right? That means that we could have made each American a billionaire at least one time. Everybody could at least have $1 billion. They'll never free those resources. We work for the money, right? We're slave debts. We're sold into the national debt when we're born. We know what a birth certificate is. We know who the Department of Vital Statistics is, right? We know what a QSIP number is on the bottom. We know that the Department of Vital Statistics is a debt collection agency who turns you over to the state. You don't own your straw man. You don't own your name. They can look at their birth certificate and see that it's a bond letter, and they can take it from there and see what they need to do to correct their status. And then they'll realize that they're not free. Right? They'll realize who the IRS is, illegal entities, illegal instruments. They'll see that Washington, D.C. is not part of the United States. It's autonomous. And Washington, D.C. is a debt collection agency, right? And then they can go farther into the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, the World Banks, and they can go farther into that and look up United Nations Agenda 2030, right? And they can go into the ID 2020 programs and take it for themselves. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, right?
Now the thing is, I've had this kind of, because you spoke about how people are being programmed and trained and can't visualize that they're still part of a system of oppression. Let's face it, the two-party system, Democratic and Republican lawmakers, the same people who donate to the Democratic Party, donate to the Republican Party. Wall Street, big banks, corporations, the top 1% have control over our two-party system, thanks to the Supreme Court legalizing bribery with Citizens United and McCutcheon's decision. And the same thing. And the same thing we have to consider, too, is that our corporate media is also, again, the same people control our two-party system, also control the corporate media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want to propose this question to you, because I've asked this to Larry Sharp, who is the host of the Larry Sharp Show. He ran for governor with the Libertarian Party, and then Spike Cohen as well. He's with the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, friend of mine.
Yeah, so I'll ask this question to you. Do you think, especially with all the information that is available for the public to use, with the Library of Alexandria right here at our fingertips, with all the information that's out there, the evidence is very clear that the military-industrial complex has taken away so many of our resources. The fact that corporate media is turning a blind eye. Do you think, and this is just an opinion, do you think the average citizen is truly capable of being free and breaking away from it after, for decades? You know, even as a young kid, I was exposed to corporate media. We all have been, my viewing audience as well. Is the American citizen truly capable of being self-determined and actually realizing that they're being propagandized by a two-party system that only caters to their number one constituent, the 1%, all the while supporting the prison industrial complex and military industrial complex? Are we self-determined? Can we truly break away from it?
Ignorance is self-inflicted. Let's start there. Ignorance is self-inflicted. People need to let that resonate. Past that, I believe in the resilience of any human being to change. I believe that people can all change. People have the power within themselves to change, right? We have a mind, we have thought, we have abilities. People are really in a place where they can do as they wish. And that's a double-edged sword, right? So people, you know, you come into this life, let's pose it like this. You come into this time-space reality, right? And you're born into this life. You're born into this world. Pardon me, I'm putting my glasses on. You're born into this life. You're born into this world. And in this life, you came here to experience whatever you choose to experience. So let's look at children. No baby is racist. No baby is biased. No child is a bigot. No child is sexist. No child is a Muslim, a Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, etc. No child has a religion. Children move on energy. Children move on if they're happy or sad, hungry or full, if they're tired or have energy, or if they're hot or cold. We move on feeling. It doesn't matter who you are. Anybody can come around a child, and dogs are the same. They're good alarm systems, but a child will let you know if your energy is good or not. So what happened when we started getting educated is we forgot how we feel. People aren't able to get over the programming because they're not in tune with their natural self anymore. People lost the knowledge of themselves. So they're literally moving on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, little sound bites, parakeeting off phrases and quotes, whatever the television tells them, right? So we hire a cast in Hollywood. Hollywood comes from the Hollywood, which is the holly tree. We hire a cast to cast spells, and they get hired by a casting agent and a casting director, and we televise the teleyes. We televise your vision on a television. We broadcast it, and you tune into a channel because it's all witchcraft. So if people don't believe sorcery is real and programming is real, they're self-delusional. They're very delusional, and they're living in a fallacy. They're not living in reality. If you literally put on a frequency or affirmation and tell yourself that you're positive every day for 30 days, then you're going to be more positive, right? If you tell yourself that you're negative, you're going to be negative. So these are the environments that our government is creating, the programs in school programs, religious programs, educational programs, work programs, right, et cetera, that people have no time to free themselves. Okay, you got 24 hours in a day. They have you slaving, working for 8 hours, and you're not working for yourself. Ford is a family name, right? We can go on and on. DuPont, that's a family name, right? So we're working for all these people, and they have McDonald's. That's a family name. These are families, but your family's name is not making any money. So in 24 hours, you slave for 8 hours. You sleep for 8 hours. Every 3 years, you sleep 112 days. So every 3 years, you sleep 1 year. In 30 years, you slept 10 years. So at 30 years old, you slept 10, you're 20. You're not an adult till you're 18, so you're 2 years old in a life experience, right? So you sleep for 8, you work for 8, you commute an hour and a half, okay? So that's 18 hours. You eat 3 meals a day. That's 21 hours. And then you shower twice a day. And when do you have time for yourself? That's your 24 hours there. That's 24 hours. And you do that until you lose yourself, until you get of age. And then the food, the chemicals, we can go all into that, hormones, steroids, all the toxic things that we ingest and inhale and breathe and we're exposed to, all the products, that by the time you get retired, ready to retire, you're already to die. You see, so when the time people have time, when will people be able to free themselves? People have to go inside themselves and make a choice and make a decision. Do I live my life? Or do I continue to be a debt slave? Do I continue to pay into a system that's not paying me? Do I continue to elect people who are not serving me? If you and I went into a restaurant and 5 minutes goes by, it's like, all right, maybe they're busy. 10 minutes, no water, no menu. 20 minutes, we're out of there. We're going to go where we're being served. The American people need to understand we're 331 million strong, right? And we don't need government. If they want to break the word down, govern means to govern men and women. T is a square. A square is a right angle. The truth is a square, right? So they govern men with the truth or the lack thereof. They never teach us the truth. They never tell us anything. They never involve us in anything, right? And they literally make laws. They literally have justifications for why we're not allowed in our own country's business, in our own country's finances. So can people change? Yes. Will people change? That choice is individual. But the ones who are conscious, the ones who are quote unquote woke, as people say now, we're the ones that have to do the work. The time is now. There is no other time, right? And that's the only reality that there is. So for us, we're going to be at the Lincoln Memorial on February 19th. And it's on the anniversary of the Ukraine war. And of course, it's President's Day weekend too. And we're just going to rage against the war machine, right? And after that, we're going to rally. We're going to go to the White House and we're going to talk to some things I want to say. I won't call them names. Let's be nice. Let's just say a warmonger in chief, Joseph the Sniffer Biden.
Joe
Sniffer's okay.
30330. Joe 30330. I'll know.
Yeah, he's a special guy, and his son is really special. I saw some incredible videos with him. He has some real alternative tastes.
Exactly. So here's something I want to bring up. On 9/11, we as a nation under George W. Bush Jr. and of course Vice President Dick Cheney, we got involved in the war in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Can I inject there like 2 seconds?
Go ahead.
Can people Google the fact that Bush and Cheney were found guilty in absentia because they wouldn't go to court in the International Court, The Hague? They were found guilty of war crimes in 9/11. Is that even known?
Well, the thing is, what I wanted to bring up then is, come 2008, we get Barack Obama, who gave us
the illegal president, married to Michael LaVaughn Robinson. Go, Obama.
And so Obama, he got rid of habeas corpus, turned a blind eye to the people who led the 2008 economic recession, told us that we have to look forward, not backwards, in regards to the Bush-Cheney administration.
Yeah.
And then we went from 2 wars to 7. And since then, from Trump onwards, and now under Joe Biden, we're still in unending war. And so what I find interesting is that during the times of Bush Jr. and, of course, Donald Trump, there was a massive anti-war movement, or at least people riding on the emotion, viewing both Bush Jr. and Trump as being Adolf Hitler 2.0. Each in their own way. I think we've all seen these same kind of memes and the videos and people making these same statements. But but what I find surprising is that under Obama, everything disappeared. And now under Biden, everything disappeared. And while this is unrelated, I do find it interesting that Roe v. Wade died under a Democratic administration, where if this were to happen under Trump's administration,
imagine that
people would be foaming at the mouth, raging at the streets. So what I want to ask you is, what?
And then George Soros will have to do something because BLM didn't work too well in Antifa.
So what I want to ask you is, what happened to the anti-war movement of the civil rights era? What happened to the organization, the activists, the organized? Because it seems right now, Rage Against the War Machine was the People's Party, Libertarian Party, and all the other organizations and groups. And let me get this correct. I'm going to be reading off the list. There's going to be Liberty Speaks. There's Action for Assange, Punk Rock Libertarians, etc. Apologies if I'm missing any other groups. But is this
we also want to free Ross, freeross.org,
Okay.
We got a free Ross. Shout out to Lynn Albright. I love you, Mom.
So what I want to ask you is, what happened to the anti-war movement? And is Rage Against the War Machine the fire to reignite the anti-war movement? Or
it's never died. It's like hip-hop music, right? They say hip-hop died. No, hip-hop never died. We're not on commercial radio because we tell the truth. The movement's never died. We're just not able to get exposure and to get, promotion, marketing, right? We're not able to get those things on those platforms because then we're going to destroy them because they're created in falsehood. They're created in corruption. People voted for BLM, and people they got played. They got manipulated. They didn't know that BLM paid ActBlue.org, and ActBlue.org paid the Democratic National Party and Democratic National Congress. Right? You see? So the thing with the anti-war movement, it's still here. It's still alive. What happened from the time of Malcolm and Martin and, my father, the Black Panthers, etc., is they murdered us. They murdered us. And now it's just, as soon as you say something, you're dead. As soon as you try to do a movie on Dr. Sebi and expose the pharmaceutical industry, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, you're dead. And who's directing it? Boys in the Hood. Who's directed Boys in the Hood?
I got the Library of Alexandria at my fingertips, so let me find it right now.
That's my man too. Huh?
Hold on. I think I got the name. Apologies if director John Singleton.
Yeah, John Singleton. Rest in peace. He died 2 weeks after Nipsey Hussle did. You didn't even hear about it. They were putting a movie out about Dr. Sebi, who exposed him first. Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC. You see, this is trillions of dollars we're touching. So after so many people died, then people try to reformulate and restructure and try to attack things in a different manner, in a different light. And that's something that has happened. Like, people don't want to die. People have children, people have families, right? People get oppressed, people get pressured, people get approached, people get warned, people get threatened, you know. And I can go into some other things that'll bring up some more sensitive things, but we know what it is in America when you speak the truth. My father told me when I was 12 years old, he said, if you want to teach, if you want to speak the truth, be willing to die and be willing to go to prison. If you're not willing to die and go to prison, he said, then this is not your fight. You see? And I've been warned and I've been threatened, and we can go into that off camera, because yeah, they do come in your house and they do literally follow you, and they do approach you, and they do pull up on you, and they do point weapons at you, and they do warn you. That happened to me. Nobody can tell me what this government's done because it's happened to me. Nobody can tell me what I experienced, right? But then we're conspiracy theorists, you know, so on and so forth, right? So everybody writes and dismisses everybody, which is the utmost disrespect. When somebody doesn't want to validate something that somebody else experienced, right? And that's the hypocrisy right now. People want to be validated. People want to call themselves whatever, you know. I identify as the God of the solar system, and everything that I say is true. And everybody should surrender to the truth that the military-industrial complex is illegal and should be abolished immediately. So say it, so be it, right? Because I identify as that, and I should be acknowledged, right? That's the day and age that we're living in. So everybody's important. Everybody's validated. Nobody's dealing with facts. Nobody's doing research. Nobody's doing the statistics. Nobody's doing the numbers except us. So we have to really look at who's vibrating on our frequency, who's in our social circles, right? Who's in our networks, and we have to build from within. Like I said, hip hop will never die. I said that in 1992 in an interview, and I'm saying the efforts to establish justice, peace, love, gratitude, appreciation, truth, righteousness, equality, universally, that fight will never die. They will never kill the truth. They will never kill righteousness. They will never destroy the resilience, the desire, and the fire and the passion in righteous people. They will never extinguish that. So it's never nothing to fear. And I want to share that with people. Don't ever worry. They make movies, they do commercials, they talk about all these secret organizations and secret groups, and they're a part of all this, and they have all this magical, mystical power. And the reason why they're telling you that is because when you're telling, you're spelling. But remember, spells can be broken with knowledge. The truth supersedes everything. And the truth has to always be dominant, and the truth always has to be first. And that destroys all falsehood. Light destroys darkness. So don't have fear of them. It's a reason why they're lying to you. It's a reason why they're promoting and marketing this whole scam. It's because once the veil is lifted and everybody wakes up and realizes the real, the truth of the matter, then that's matter realized, and then it will materialize. Once matter is realized, that's materialization, and then things will change. This stuff exists in our minds. It doesn't exist in this 3D reality. We're keeping it alive by believe, B-E-L-I-E, by living that lie. That's why they teach us to make believe when we're children. They make us be a lie. They make us live lies. They're false. They have no power. They have nothing. They're not going to destroy this planet. They're not going to nuke the planet. They're not going to, because where are they going to go? We don't have to work for them. We don't need their money. You grow the apples, you grow the corn, you grow the spinach, you build the cars, you do it. We're already self-contained. We're already self-sufficient. We don't need them. They make you believe you do. You believe you need to go get a license. You believe you need to register your car. You believe you need to pay taxes. So you do. Mm-hmm. That's not the truth, though. The truth exists within you. If you do something and it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Having people who are corrupt, pedophiles, thieves, rapists, murderers, toxic, disgusting people in charge of us is not right. But here's a saying. And matter of fact, this is a saying from the Prophet Muhammad when I was studying Islam. He said that corrupt people put corrupt leaders in place. So we got to own it. We have to own it. Corrupt people put corrupt leaders in place. And that stuck with me. You see? So our job Our job is to really do the work within ourselves and then share that knowledge, live by example, and inspire people, right? Ignite people to get back involved in themselves, because it's really about our children and the future generations and our planet as a whole.
I would say I also add on to this too, and this is what I tell my audience about, especially when they're speaking to diehard Democratic voters or diehard Republican voters, and that is to have a conversation with them to get them to realize that they are voting for a system and politicians that, number one, don't like them, don't think about them, and then the final one, which should make everyone upset, these politicians don't respect you, and since they don't respect you, you should not respect them in turn. I say,
period.
Don't view the politicians as people, because they're not.
Period.
They have gold-plated health care. They have a six-figure salary. They have a wonderful banking or lobbying job waiting for them if they retire or they're voted out of office.
Correct.
And then they have all these other wonderful social benefits. We're ruled by dynastic families and people who are in their 80s and 90s who really should be in old folks' home. But anyways, I don't want to sound too ageist.
And they're working for generational wealth. They're working for generational wealth. They're taking care of their generations. The root word of generations is generate. They're generating wealth for themselves. And the root word of generate is gene. We're not conscious of our genes. We're not working for our genes. You see, that's what Genesis is, the genes of Isis. We're not going back to who we are as people, our royalty. We're not studying ourselves and realizing that we are metaphysical. We are mental and physical. We are spirits, right? And spirit is just your breath. It's just your life. We're souls having human experiences in this time-space reality. Why are we collectively choosing this to be our experience? Why? The only reason why people are poor, and I mean this, brother, with all sincerity, listen, the only reason why people are poor is because they believe they need money. You never had money as a child. You never needed it. You were happy with a piece of Play-Doh. You were happy with a crayon. You were happy with grass, with the sun, with seeing bees on the flowers. Like, you were just happy existing in nature. There's a reason why they want us disconnected from source, disconnected from the universe, disconnected from nature, disconnected from one another. That's what the COVID was. That's a beta test. We all know that. That's why they don't want people to interact. They don't want people, you see, and they create fear. And what does fear do? Fear lowers your vibration. Stay out of the sun. What happens? You get sick, right? The sun cures us. The sun gives us life. Don't interact. Don't communicate. Don't share germs and bacteria, which builds your immune system. It's total separation. That's the devil's job. That's what he's always done, is divide and conquer. So this is a Christian country, so-called America, right? And in the Bible it says, or does it say, what does it say? A house divided cannot stand. So if the house is divided by Democrats and Republicans, then how can it stand for anything, any truth, any justice, anything righteous? They're all liars. If you vote for one, you vote for all. I don't care how good they sound, how good they argue. You know, it's just like saying, oh, well, not all police are bad. Okay, well, if I'm a police officer for 30 years and I saw murder, corruption, drugs planted, people set up, falsified reports, life in prison, families destroyed, all of that, and I didn't do anything about it, or I didn't leave the organization, then I'm part of it. If I sit and watch a woman get raped and I don't do something to fight against it, then I'm part of it. You know, I'm part of it. People want to separate themselves. It's like 1 degree of separation, because they're breeding a narcissistic culture in America, and people justify and pick and choose their gods, their righteous points, what is good or bad for them. And they have no real moral base anymore. And that's what happened to all empires before. We fell from inside out due to moral corruption. When people support this stuff, then they are just as guilty. And that's the only argument that I have. People supporting the Democrats, especially, and I'll be the first to say, Black or African Americans, really, they should be calling themselves Moors, like the original Moors, Al Morocco, America, right? Voting for Democrats is absolutely insane, when the Democrats are the same people that try to keep them enslaved. Mm-hmm. Like, it's insane. The first 36 people after the Reconstruction period in 1850 in government were Black, and they were Republicans. And they were literally murdered and forced to become Democrats. And we can go into Planned Parenthood and 27 million Black babies murdered. And we can go into, what else? We can go into the welfare system, where they literally paid Black women to or in women, period, to remove the man from the home and destroy the family structure, and cracking eggs and gangs and so on and so forth. We can go into all of those sciences. People need to do the research for themselves. But period, point blank, past all of that, we are not successful. We graduated in the United States with a 4th grade reading education. Where's our money going? Where's the money for all the medicinal marijuana going? Where's the money for all the lottery systems going? Where's all the money? Where's the money for all these wars? Nobody ever said we wanted to send money to Ukraine. I feel for the people in Ukraine, but the people in Ukraine are only going through what we're going through. And we never take care of home. That means these people in office, their interests, their intentions, their purposes is to, number one, line their pockets for generational wealth for themselves. That's why they sell themselves the contracts, right? It's just like Halliburton and, Bush and Cheney. They did the whole same thing with 9/11. That's scam, right? And then the COVID scam. Dr. Fauci's busted. He's not in jail. They're not, because they commit their crimes in Washington, D.C., and it's autonomous. And that's what people don't get, right? We are not succeeding as a nation. Our children are not succeeding. Our children are not learning. Our country is not prospering. We're not growing, and we're not expanding as a whole, as a country, as a nation, right? And we're not contributing to earth, to the air, to the water, and to nature. And we're not contributing to humanity as a whole. We're not good. We're the most corrupt nation on the planet. And until we clean our own backyard, right, then how can we talk about anybody else? How can we be take the moral high ground? We can't. Look at our president. Look at our president's son. Look at these people in office. It's absolutely insane. There's no argument. Look at Joe Biden. Go Google what is his name? Hunter Biden with his niece. Go Google that and tell me that's okay. Go Google that. Go Google that. Go Google them smoking crack. Go Google that.
Now, the thing is, what I say to a lot of people who watch my show and follow it, when it comes down to the system here in America, where nothing is fundamentally changing, that's what Joe Biden said during the Democratic primary debate with Bernie Sanders, nothing will fundamentally change. We see that the Biden-Harris administration are still carrying many of Trump's domestic policies. The kids are still in cages. Americans are being evicted from their homes. Exactly. Gas and food prices are still rising up. I mean, the price of eggs, you might as well be a billionaire to buy $10. Yeah, I'd never seen that before, and I used to stock at Costco. You have a situation in which we have a medical bankruptcy. We have a ridiculous system of student debt that is forever hindering many Americans from achieving the American dream. George Carlin's quote was right. It's one big club and you ain't in it. And the only way to believe the American dream is for you to be asleep. So what's really happening here? I think there are people awakening up to the fact that that they're realizing that we are in a system where the top 1% have absolute control and no responsibility for the people. They're able to make themselves richer and richer. But with the fact that you have Americans realizing that they're being screwed, and as you said earlier in the interview, they're 1 or 2 paychecks away from absolute destruction, or because of our medical system, medical
one sick day, you get sick, you're done.
Or is it at one bad day and you can lose everything with an ailment or an accident, God forbid. So what I want to ask you, and this is kind of in relation to what you guys are talking about, was Rage Against the War Machine, and that is, anytime people do speak out, there's a movement of censorship. And we see that on Twitter, we see that on YouTube, Facebook.
They deleted my Instagram, 1.7 million followers. My partner deleted her Instagram, 7 million followers, gone, just gone. As soon as we hit that algorithm, and see, it's not about shares. I mean, it's not about likes. I'll get 10,000 likes. It's about shares. If I get 4,000 shares, I have 1.7 million followers, and they average 5,000 to 5 million followers themselves. I just hit 20, 30 million people in hours. So as soon as that happens, you're gone. If they're not monetizing off of you, and if you're not going with their it's a democratic agenda, period. If you're not going with their agenda, and that's unheard of. How does that happen in America? And nobody did anything about it. Nobody did anything. Trump got his back, though. It's magic. I can't get mine back, but Trump got his back. But all of ours are gone, right? And we do the same work. We're in the streets. We're teaching. We're helping. We're healing, right? We're writing the music. We're touring. We're breaking our backs, going around the world to educate people and spread this love and this light, right? So it's like, all we can do is what we can do in this now and in this moment, right? And no more money for Ukraine. We negotiate peace. We stop war inflation, right? We disband NATO. The global nuclear de-escalation has to happen. That has to happen. Slash the Pentagon budget. That it's out of control. All they did with 9/11 is they took the counterintelligence program and they rewrote it and retitled it. The what is it called now?
Oh, geez. Let me go ahead and pull it up again. It's
Oh my
the
God.
9/11 program. I should have that up there.
Yeah, it's the new law, the Patriot Act.
Yeah,
so
Patriot
they just
Act. There we
relabeled
go.
it the Patriot Act. So we want to abolish that CIA and military industrial deep state. We want to restore civil liberties, and we want to free Julian Assange, among other people, like free Ross. There's a lot of political prisoners in the world who have done nothing other than speak the truth, right? But when it suits them, they can free the athlete, the little girl. They can free an athlete, that's okay. But past that, they can't do anything that doesn't serve their interest. And that's what people have to understand. It's totally biased. It's totally one-sided. So do we try to fix the system, or do we separate from the system, and do we start our own system? Start our own system that's independent of them. Start our own networks, build our own stuff. You spoke briefly on, the price of eggs, but do people know that over 30 food corporations, including General Mills, meat packing companies, etc., just burned down? Planes crashed into them, right? Who was the guy who was over transport? He just went on a vacation with his lover.
Well, that
right?
would be Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, booty checker.
Yeah, the main guy who was also in charge of South Bend, Indiana, who allowed gentrification and displacement of black families to take place.
Yes.
Unchecked police brutality.
Because that doesn't happen. You're a conspiracy theorist, but Pete Buttigieg would never do that. Come on, man. Let's keep it real. He loves us. He's fighting for humanity. His hands are tied. Probably when he was on vacation with his lover, his hands were tied. So that's a joke. Past that, they have videos out where they're paying farmers to subsidize and destroy their crops. Like, they created the food shortage. None of this is by chance. They're creating all of these issues. These things don't happen naturally. So can people change? Of course they can. I totally believe in anybody that wants to change. Will most Americans change? They'll probably, change out their cars, change their channels, but will they change to actually do something and find resolve? Resolve is one's ability to follow through with something, right? Will they take a stand and do the work? I think once people wake up to what's actually happening, I think that ignites the fire. And I think after that, it's only movement that would create that synergy and create that actual movement or re-evolution, that revolution that we've seen before in this country. Things come full circle. That's why they're going crazy, trying to lock us down, trying to vaccinate us, trying to spray us, trying to give everybody cancer. What is it? Infertility is up 300% around the world. Like, it's a total depopulation agenda. That's why they're pushing things they're pushing. That's why Planned Parenthood is happening. That's why people with alternative lifestyles are getting such a push and getting funded. This is a depopulation agenda, and a lot of these people in these organizations don't understand that they're playing right into their hands. When they depopulate us, when they disarm us, when we remain uneducated, then we have no ability or no resolve to actually fight, because we have no knowledge of our enemy. We have no knowledge of the situations. We have no knowledge that we're actually under attack. Mm-hmm. People are asleep. They don't know they're being attacked. They don't get it.
And this Rage Against the War Machine is a joint coalition of so many people that are coming together. So
yes,
I know that you do have we do appreciate you making time for being on our show.
Of course.
But there's just a couple of things I want to follow up. Just a few more questions in regards to Rage Against the War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
What can people do to help promote the word, spread out information in regards towards this event that will be taking place on February 19th? How can an average person
Washington, D.C.
Okay. Let me go ahead and pull this up here real quick, just so everyone can see the website too.
Yes.
Just so everyone can see that this is Rage Against the War Machine. I urge everyone to please, again, Follow Rage Against the War Machine. There's so many organizations and groups that are speaking truth to power. It's going to be 18 days away from now, February 19th. Again, being hosted by the People's Party, Libertarian Party, and so many other activists and organizations that are speaking truth to power. So as a final note for this, for all our viewers to at least spread the word and to also help out, where can they go to also follow you on social media so that they can at least, support your work that you're doing and also be aware of when you're going to be speaking on February 19th?
Okay. So again, like I told you, they deleted my Instagram, but you can follow me at Supreme I Self and find me there, or pardon me, at I Am Supreme. Correct that. At I Am Supreme. Yeah, they deleted my Instagram. It's magical. So they can follow me again at I Am Supreme. They can always Google Supreme Wu-Tang. They can Google my name, Lamont A. Compton, and find me there directly. And then they can go on and just Google Rage Against the War Machine, right? And just type that into your browser, into your search engine, and all the information will come up. It's in Washington, D.C. We'll be there live. I'll also be speaking and performing live. And all that information is there. So Rage Against the War Machine, follow me at I Am Supreme. I want to also direct people to Angela McCardle, who is our chair. And then they can go and look up the Libertarian Party and find out more information about exactly what we're doing, what our movement is, what we're about, right? And get a lot of information there on the Libertarian Party. They can also donate to the Libertarian Party. So if you go on the Rage Against the War Machine page, there's a visit the event website, and there's registration information there. All of that stuff's available. And then again, they can click right on the opening page, the cover page. They can click on donate. And if you donate $1, if you donate 100, 1,000, whatever, it's going to be put to good use. Every penny that we get goes to our plight, our cause. And it's really necessary that we support each other. It's like Starbucks is $7.50 now. It's going to be fucking $80. And pardon my language, it's going to be $80 a cup in 10 years. Well, I don't even understand what that is. But, it's like we have so much disposable income. And I find myself, making more conscious decisions with my finances to where I invest or where I donate, right? Because we have disposable income. That's money that you're going to spend anyway. So why not spend it for a good cause, a healthy cause, a beautiful cause that's for humanity? And ultimately, the thing is this: if we win this and we get our what we're asking for, and have these things established, right? Then all of that money that's being spent in all these other countries for all these other causes, for all these other efforts, and such as war, etc., that money will stay in America. That money will go to school programs, educational programs, healthcare programs. We could literally give everybody the top of the line free healthcare, the top of the line educations for free with the amount of money that we give other countries every year. So it's inexcusable. So again, they can find me at I Am Supreme on Instagram, anywhere in social media. Lamont A. Compton is my name. And go on rageagainstwar.com or just Google Rage Against the War Machine, and you will find that information there. And again, donate. Please donate.
There you go. And again, folks, let's all help do what we can to build a better future. I want to thank Supreme so much for joining us. Again, this is Rage Against the War Machine. We got to, again, bring awareness to the fact that we are stuck in a military-industrial complex. And unfortunately, corporate media, the two-party system, they're going to keep you in the dark. But that's why, again, all of us need to step up and help fight for a better future. Because if we don't, we're all going to stand alone. Supreme, thank you so much for being on our show. I am definitely looking forward for having you, or at least covering this event on the 19th for my viewing audience. And I urge everyone to spread the word. We will be continuing on with the rest of our normal show with a couple of other programs that we will be talking about. So I'll be playing the end credits. Again, Supreme, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And we have this. Just know that we got this. The power is ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's ours. Free Ross. Like I said, I always got to say that. Free Julian Assange. Thank you again. Thank all your listeners, your viewers out there. Rage Against the War Machine. Peace.
All right. That's a great note to end it on.